think with the time we have left, I'd like to go to this email. Because I think...
We've not got enough time, really. We need more time.
Well, this is the problem. But this is a very interesting email, and I think you probably will be able to comment on it for a while. It's from Brother Muhammad, and he says he's followed your programs and your writings, and he's interested to see that you're very heavily involved in interfaith dialogue. And he wants to know if we'll have an episode of Let's Talk dedicated to the subject of interfaith dialogue. But then he goes on to say, I don't understand why we should spend so much time talking with people whose religion is wrong. This is his wording. So he says, but he respects you and would like to know your take on that, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, do you know when Yusuf was talking about the qualities of an ambassador, you were mentioning things like bridge building, you need to get on with people, you need to be very open, you need to be understanding, informed,
communicate.
You need to present yourself well, communicate well. And at the time, I was thinking not only about speaking about Islam, but especially speaking about Islam to those who are not Muslim. And sure, I do lots of work with religious leaders all over the world. And, often I go to... And I might do a radio show on a Muslim TV channel, and one of the brothers rings in and says, what were you doing meeting Archbishop so-and-so? Why did you waste your time meeting him? Well, the point is very simple. It's to go along. That case was in Dublin. I went to the Archbishop of Dublin and said, sir, you honour me by this meeting. You will honour all Muslims by this meeting. On behalf of all Muslims, I want to greet you with a greeting of friendship and of peace. And then we talk. And I say to him, I am a Muslim and this is what I believe. And you believe that Jesus died on the cross. I don't. But okay. I believe that you're wrong. But I believe that if you can say it, as Yusuf's been saying, if you can communicate well and say it in a respectful way, you can speak to people honestly and tell them what Islam is about. And you're not compromising at all. You're not appeasing anyone. You're not saying, you're not giving up anything of Islam. This is Islam. And I fully believe that Islam is the truth from Allah. I bear witness that there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Peace be upon him. But in this world in which we live, torn apart by religious strife, people of faith have more in common with each other than people with no faith at all, and with those secular people who would do away with faith. So where there are people in our world who believe in God, I believe as a Muslim it is my duty to greet them and speak to them and befriend them. And who knows, Allah might use my words to inform them about their belief, but that's not my aim. My aim is to establish friendship with these people. And inshallah, in Montreal, for example, I met the Bishop of Montreal, Bishop Barry Clark, and at the end of the meeting I took with me a box of chocolates, and I said to him, Bishop, I hope you've got a sweet tooth, because Islam is very sweet. And he emailed me afterwards and said, thank you for taking the time to come and see me. You honour me by coming to see me, and thank you for telling me that Islam is sweet. And thank you, he said, I admire the passion you have for Islam and for your work. And inshallah, at the end of that meeting, he might sit and, I don't know how many Muslims he knows, but he might sit at the end and say to himself, well, I'd not thought that about Muslims before, really. Do you know? So that's the point of the point of the dialogue, is to get to know one another. Why did Allah Almighty make us into nations and tribes? That we might know each other. And it's when we don't know the other, we become afraid of them,
right,
and start making judgments and having prejudices against them. But when we know each other, we see that we're ordinary men and women. Ordinary men who go out to work to put food on the table for our kids. We've not got two heads. And so I can say in Edinburgh, I can say to the Bishop of Edinburgh, sir, I believe you are wrong in your belief that Jesus died on the cross. Because in the Quran it tells us clearly he didn't. But at the end I can embrace him and say, will you come for dinner with me?
MashaAllah.
So I think it's a very important work. It's the work of an ambassador, really. I think this is a very important topic we've had today, because, we're all called to be ambassadors of Islam, to one another, to people of no faith, and to people of faith. And the thing, I hope it struck you as much about Yusuf today, he's very cheerful, and he's proud of working for Canada. He said it, I'm proud of representing Canada. And he puts his best foot forward to talk about Canada. And when I said, you've done a very good job talking about Canada, everyone smiled. As Muslims, we should have exactly that same response from people. People should see in us, on our faces, the love we have for Islam. And maybe go away and say, well, I didn't think that about Islam before.
MashaAllah.
So interfaith dialogue is very, very important as a step for a better world.
All right. It's just an interesting point, and I think we'll close with this thought that, and I've heard you actually say it before, it's not our job to convert the world to Islam, but if we change their opinion of it, we've done a great deal. We've done a great deal of good. And with that thought, we're going to close our show today, and we hope to see you next time, inshallah ta'ala, here on Let's Talk. Until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.